Welcome to The Explainer. So let's talk about something huge in tech and business right now. Why do so many big, expensive AI projects just fail? And, more importantly, what's the secret sauce to making them actually work? We've boiled it all down for you in this explainer.
All right, let's just jump right in with a number that's, well, it's pretty hard to wrap your head around. According to research from McKinsey, AI has the potential to add a mind-blowing $4.4 trillion in value to the global economy every single year. And look, we're not talking about a small bump here. This is a complete game changer for productivity. But, and this is a big but, here's the reality check. Despite all that incredible potential, a whopping 70% of these massive transformation projects, they just don't hit their goals. I mean, think about that. For something with so much promise, that failure rate is just staggering.
So right there, you've got what you could call the multi-trillion-dollar paradox. You've got this immense potential on one hand and this massive gap where it's all being wasted on the other. So what's really going on here? Why this huge disconnect?
And the cost of this isn't just, oh, we missed out on some potential. No, we're talking about real money. Almost $1 trillion wasted every single year on projects that just go nowhere. I mean, that's a kind of cash burn that no one can just shrug off. Okay, so that leads to the big question, right? What is it about AI projects that makes them so incredibly hard to get right? Why are these failing so much more than, say, other big tech rollouts? Well, it turns out it's kind of a perfect storm of new challenges. This perfect storm really has three parts. First up, the technology is just evolving at a crazy speed. What's cutting edge today could be outdated in 6 months. Then there's this deep uncertainty. See, unlike regular software where you kind of know what you're going to get, an AI's output can be, well, unpredictable. And finally, there's the organizational complexity of it all. You need your tech people, your business people, and your leaders all working together in completely new ways. It's just a whole new level of teamwork. Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting, because the solution is probably not what you'd expect. When you have a tech problem, your gut tells you that you need better tech, right? More code, better algorithms, but all the research is pointing in a completely different direction. The answer isn't better tech, it's a better culture. And this quote just nails it. McKinsey did this huge study and found that the #1 predictor of success, it wasn't the budget, it wasn't how good your tech guys were, it wasn't even the strategy. It was the company's culture. You know the old saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast? Well, it turns out culture eats AI strategy for breakfast too. So if culture is the answer, that's great, but how do you actually change a culture? It starts by investing in your people. Simple as that. The only real path to making AI work is by upskilling your own workforce, building that know-how from the inside.
And listen, this isn't some fluffy, feel-good HR initiative. We're talking about a real hard financial return. The data is super clear on this. Companies that actually invest in training their people on AI see a 3x, that's 3 times, the return on their entire AI investment compared to those who don't. That is a huge, huge multiplier.
And what about that classic problem, people resisting change? Well, it turns out good training programs slash that resistance by 76%. And it makes sense, right? When you train people, you take away the mystery. You turn that fear of the unknown into, hey, I can use this. This is an opportunity for me. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds huge. It sounds expensive and time-consuming. But get this. The benchmark for actually making a difference here is way more achievable than you'd think. Research from BCG found that just 5 hours, 5 little hours of basic AI training per employee can make a massive difference in getting people to actually use the new tools.
Now, the smartest companies, they don't just do a one-size-fits-all training dump. They use a tiered approach. It all starts with a foundation. Basic AI literacy for absolutely everyone. Then you get more specific, with deeper training for people whose jobs are directly impacted by AI. From there, you build up a team of internal AI champions who can lead the charge in their departments. And this is critical, you make sure the top execs are fluent enough to steer the ship.
Okay, but even if you have the best trained team in the world, they can't do it alone. They need direction. And that brings us to the final, absolutely critical piece of this puzzle, leadership. This isn't just a tech challenge, it's a leadership challenge, plain and simple.
I love this quote from Harvard Business Review because it just says it all. You can have the best team, the best equipment, but if the executives aren't visibly sponsoring this, leading the way, it's like trying to climb Everest without oxygen. You're just not going to make it. The tech might power the climb, but it's the leadership that provides the oxygen.
So when you boil it all down, what we're really talking about is a huge shift in mindset. You've got the old way, the tech-first approach. It's all about the cool new tool, and you just kind of hope people will figure it out and use it. Then you have the people-first approach. That's where you start with a real business problem, you actively help people through the change, and you measure what actually matters: business results. One path, well, that leads straight to that 70% failure rate we talked about. The other one is how you actually succeed. And so that leaves us with one last really important question you should be asking. As you think about where your own company is at with AI, take a hard look at your strategy, at your budget, at where you're spending your time and energy, and just ask yourself this, honestly. Are we building a technology plan, or are we building a people plan? Because the answer to that question, well, that's probably going to determine whether you succeed or fail. Thanks for joining this explainer.